Philly's Most Wanted, featuring Al Bubonic Holly and Joel Mr. Man Witherspoon, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, active since 1999. Today's feature was supposed to be a lot of things in the late 90s, early 2000s, but one opportunity they had before pretty much anyone else was to work on an entire album produced by the now world-famous Neptunes, Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo, before they became a household name. Mr. Man and Boo Bonic were so early to the table that they are the ones who actually introduced Beanie Sigel to Dame Dash, Kareem Biggs and Jay-z himself. Beanie Sigel was scheduled to attend a dogfighting ring that same day and had a reported $10,000 on a dog named Mikey, who was known to be undefeated in the cruel ring popular at the time. Just ask Mike Vick. Beans had a sure thing and passed it up to attend a Rocafella meeting invited by Philly's Most to watch as they impressed Rocafella enough to potentially break them out the deal they were already in and sign them, since Jay-z was on a mission to scoop all the talented Philly artists and turn up their city. That deal never happened. What did was a battle between Philly's Most and Beanie Sigel and a rapper named Mill. Beans spit so hard, Philly's Most took his number and later invited him to the meeting with Rocafella. They spit once again. This time, Dame and Kareem ran to the booth Jay-z was in recording a song called A Week Ago and urged him to come witness. By the end, Jay-z signed Beans, gave him his first major placement on his Volume 2 Hard Knock Life album on a song called Reservoir Dogs, and the rest was history. Beanie Sigel blossomed into the hardest street rapper in the history of Philly rap and had a successful run in the 2000s. Philly's Most never got that Rocafella deal, signifying another move that just didn't go their way. Over the course of their brief career, this would be the theme. Always in the right place at the right time, but never securing the key that could unlock the door to rap success they were always right in front of. Always early to the pot, but with the wrong utensils to eat the soup. About a year later, another duo would come right behind them called the Clipse, proteges of the Neptunes, and show the East Coast how the rap duo was supposed to be done. The Clipse, who once collaborated with Philly's Most, took off and were the bread to the butter the Neptunes needed to finally get their big break in rap, while Philly's Most went in the other direction, 2 failed albums and disbandment. They were supposed to be in position to be the first group signed to The Rock. Instead, their career fizzled out just as fast as it got started. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to K._Marveloso on IG for this request. It's your boy Jay-z, Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Philly's Most Wanted was a rap duo from Southwest Philadelphia that met when they were 5 years old. Boo Bonic had a cousin that was a rapper, and it sparked he and Mr. Man's desire to follow in his footsteps. They quickly became the talk of the Philly mixtape scene and signed with Atlantic Records. This was a first for Atlantic to have a rap group signed directly to the label. One of their A&Rs was connected to the Neptunes through Pharrell, known to solicit beats to the label, and urged him to meet Boo and Mr. Man. Immediately, a chemistry was developed as Pharrell was looking for a duo to get behind, since the Clipse, who he'd been trying to push for almost 5 years, wasn't working out like he'd hoped. He and Philly's Most hit the studio to craft their debut album and release their debut single, Cross the Border, but because of issues with the content in places like BET, the record nor video was picked up and actually banned from being played by the network. This set the groundwork for Philly's Most Wanted's downfall. Stunt number 1, small mismanagements. One of the biggest reasons Philly's Most never really blew up was because of small misfires between them and management that derailed what otherwise could have been real opportunity. One of the reasons the following happened was because Philly's Most were early on in the label's dealings with rap groups or a rap act that didn't come already developed and ready to go. Atlantic would later sign T.I., and all the mistakes learned from the mismanagement of Philly's Most, they got right with Tip. For example, when Cross the Border came out, it peaked as the #3 rap record in the country, yet Atlantic had issues promoting the song and video correctly, at least enough to encourage the group to take the concept but go back in and make it less overt so it could be marketed the right way. Because this wasn't done, BET, which was the hottest place for urban music at the time to get a look on a major platform, actually banned the song and video from being played. This hurt tremendously because BET was the rap exposure at the time and led to rap records flying off the shelves if they hit the countdown shows popular with the youth at the time. But BET simply wouldn't promote the video because it was too obvious in its drug dealing imagery and lyrics. With the overt illegal activity spoken of and shown in the video, they decided it was bad for business and banned it. This hurt Philly's Most rollout and helped cause their debut album to flop. It also came out a month before Jay-Z's classic The Blueprint, another management misstep. Maybe not more than it being released a year after their top 3 single had came out. Also, they featured the group The Clipse a year too early before they actually blew up in 2002 with Grinding. Philly's Most took a lot of bullets for future Atlantic artists to have success, and it hurt their growth being on a label that had no idea how to properly manage them, and also them hiring an OG from the block with front money to be their business head who had no experience in the music business. Stunt number 2, missing the Rocafella opportunity and more. Another major mishap in the career of Philly's Most was them being right under the nose of Rocafella and even having Jay and Dame co-sign signing them and not being able to make that happen. First off, Philly's Most were already in a deal with Atlantic and tried to get out of it when they noticed Jay-Z wanted to sign them, but their OG from the block management wasn't able to make that happen fast enough before Jay became enamoredly focused on his new project, Beanie Sigel. Philly's Most don't get enough credit for what they unknowingly sacrificed the day they introduced Beans to Jay. Philly's Most were good, but Beans was one of a kind and had that grit and grime along with the street cred Jay-Z needed. Beans was perfect and he rapped far better than most signed rappers at the time. Once Jay heard and saw Sigel, he no longer had much interest in pursuing some already signed rap duo with Complications, who were certainly not as interesting as the new gem they brought with them. So Rocafella moved onward and upward with Sigel, who turned out to be his own star in rap, while Philly's Most faded more and more. The Neptunes also moved on to bigger and better things, finally hitting with the Clipse and Grinding that set off both their careers. Just like that, Philly's Most missed 2 huge opportunities. Stunt number 3, trying new things failed. With 2 failed rap albums, one under Atlantic, who didn't know how to market what they were presenting, and another on Universal, who Boo called an even worse situation than before, there was no other choice but to try something new and drastic. Only thing left to do was to go solo. There was no newsworthy breakup story or huge fight/blow up. They simply decided to try their hands as solo artists, and without a label machine behind them any longer, they both fell far behind their peers and were no longer important to the landscape of hip-hop at the time. They were okay rappers, but nothing stood out about their bars or their look. They weren't the most lyrical or charismatic on the mic, at least not more than what was already out. They could have been the Clipse, but they didn't have a story behind them. Like the drug dealing kingpins, the Clipse made everyone to believe they were, and they weren't really the best at anything they did. Kinda like we seen this before, just much better over here. They still released solo music, but it got extremely quiet for them at some point, and gone they were. All in all, Philly's Most Wanted missed a lot of opportunities for whatever reason. To have the Neptunes produce your whole album along with Just Blaze and not make something out of it was almost as unfortunate as being this close to signing with Jay-Z, but brought someone hotter to the party who he ended up leaving with. Because of these reasons, nobody wanted Philly's Most. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, their growth was stunted. It's your boy Jay-z, Stunted Growth Music. I'm out.